And we are live, and that is very good. And welcome to today's wonderful Wisdom Circle. My name's Sophia from Sacred You, and we have the absolutely, truly honor and pleasure of hosting and presenting these Wisdom Circles. And with us today is an incredible range of women speakers from all over the world. It's amazing. We do have people from all over the world who have come together to share their wisdom on unburdening your heart, a healing journey towards joy. And may I introduce our beautiful facilitator, Dawn Jackson. Dawn, thank you so much for bringing this topic and your wisdom to Sacred You. I'm going to hand it over to you now, and I will be back at the end. And I have the pleasure of sitting here and listening to everyone share their wisdom. So thank you.
Thank you, Sophia, for the introduction. Welcome, everybody. I'm so glad to have you here today. And I want to introduce myself and then introduce the other speakers here today. I am Dawn Jackson. I've been a nurse for 30 years, and I'm an advanced grief recovery method specialist. So I help individuals navigate pain, emotional pain, loss, transition, and grief so that they can find joy again. So this topic is near and dear to my heart. I want to introduce the rest of the speakers and then we'll talk a little bit more. So, Claudia, will you introduce yourself?
Thank you, Dawn. Hi, everyone. I'm Claudia, and I'm from Johannesburg, South Africa. I'm a wellness coach, as well as a trauma-sensitive yoga facilitator. So I help people similar to what Dawn just mentioned, people going through grief, depression, and anxiety, and chronic fatigue. And this topic also drew me to be part of this panel because it's also close to my heart.
Thank you so much, Claudia. I appreciate you being here today.
Thank you.
How about Joanna? Will you introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Joanna. I'm here in this wonderful circle from Toronto, Canada. I'm dedicated to helping individuals move out of fear-based consciousness into love. And I do this through, I'm an intuitive healer. So I do this through sessions with clients that are having trouble with whatever they're having trouble with. And I also bring in the guides, my guides and the angels and spirit to come in because I am a channeler. So that is wonderful too, because I have that assistance while I'm working with people, and all this beautiful wisdom comes through, and it's really healing. The words are healing, my voice is healing, and it's just wonderful to see people really understand who they are, and move through this worry and doubt and fear that they have, to live on an authentically aligned life. It's just rewarding to see people transform like that through the sessions that I provide with them. Just grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanna. I appreciate you being here today. How about Sally Ann?
Thank you very much, Dawn. My name's Sally Ann Joy. I'm from Elevating Consciousness. I am in Ballina, New South Wales, which is on the north coast of New South Wales, Australia. My background is I am a qualified counsellor, Reiki master, energy healing facilitator, and quantum consciousness facilitator. I suppose the reason I got into this work originally is lived experience as well. And I help people to just, I suppose, work through trauma in a way of remembering who they truly are and being able to go out beyond the physical body into the quantum field and connecting to who they truly are, which can bring forward profound healing and profound solutions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sally Ann. So as you can see, there's people from all over the world. And I forgot to say, I'm in Oregon, in Central Oregon. So we have all different time zones going on here today for this conversation. So I appreciate everyone showing up today. So unburdening, oh, hold on one second. Hi. How do you pronounce your name? Is it Maria?
I'm Maria.
Maria.
Hi,
I'm
everyone.
Dawn, and we're just doing some introductions. So I would love if you would introduce yourself before we get started.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for waiting for me. I
Yeah,
had a wrong Zoom link. I went to the 1st of December one. I'm
that's
sorry.
okay. That's
My
okay.
name is Maria, and I am joining you from Melbourne, new to the circle, and you are my second event, and just so great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you for showing up today. I appreciate it. So we're going to talk about unburdening your heart. All of us know on this conversation that we experience events in life that hurt our heart emotionally. And being a nurse for 30 years, I started noticing that my patients were experiencing a lot of physical health issues after having some traumatic event, having a loss occur in their life. And not only that, they were lacking the joy that they wanted to experience because of these things that happen. And I also found that in my own life. For a long time, I couldn't figure out why I wasn't as happy as I thought I should be. And joy was kind of elusive. And it wasn't until I started doing a lot of healing work on things that had happened during my lifetime that I really saw some of those beliefs and I could look at them, those things that had kept me stuck earlier in life. And so when I talk about unburdening your heart, when we're able to, heal the emotional pain from different things we've been through, whether it's a loss through death, the loss of a job, um, loss of a home, maybe things just not working out as we had hoped for in life, when we're able to heal some of those things, then we're able to find that joy and experience it to a different degree than we had previously. And so I talk to people all the time and my clients about these different beliefs that many of us learned in childhood and early adulthood that kind of keep us stuck. And so that's kind of what I want to talk about today is some of those things, some of those myths and beliefs that really keep us from the joy that we deserve. So one of the first ones is keeping busy. So many of us are taught that if we stay busy, we're going to feel better. We're going to be able to get through a difficult situation. So we become workaholics. We schedule our day packed with different things, extracurricular activities, taking care of our family, that we leave no downtime to take care of ourselves. And so today I want to talk a little bit about how has this shown up in your life? Have you practiced this? Have you tried to keep busy during times that were really stressful and that you were struggling? And how did that affect your life when you did this? So we're just going to kind of go around. Um, whoever wants to go first, that's fine. Joanna?
Yeah. Yes, I remember a time when I was living in chaos. I taught for 30 years in the Toronto District School Board. I was a department head as well. But I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy because I wasn't allowing myself the time for me, the time to just do nothing, just be with myself and just breathe. I felt, as you say, that we're kind of programmed to be this way, that we have to be busy and we have to keep going and we have to do this and that. And we leave ourselves last. Us women, leave ourselves last. I mean, this is, unfortunate. But as I I became older, I shut down and I almost had a breakdown because of that. And so that's when spirit came in, when I kind of gave up on life because I was so busy, and not allowing myself to just be, like I said, and I just gave up. And that's when I had the breakthrough moment. And spirit said, my spirit guide said, you are love. You are love. You need to give yourself that time, the compassion for yourself to be, just be, do nothing. There's nothing you need to do. Just be, feel who you really are. You are love. It was just a beautiful moment. And then my whole spiritual journey began after that. And I mean, I'm in a beautiful space now where I feel so much at peace with life and I see things differently. And we're here as physical beings to be challenged. That's the only way we grow. So, I always find the lesson in it. And that's what I tell everyone, that, we're here to be rattled. But then when you have a practice and you go within and you have a spiritual, you begin your day with a practice, then you are able to manage life more effectively and you're able to see things in a different light. So I'm grateful for all of my past, what I went through, the chaos that I've been through, because it's brought me to the whole other side.
Yeah.
So I can, experience life differently now because I feel differently. I have different beliefs, and it's all about beliefs, as you say, Dawn.
Yeah, that's so
Thank
true.
you.
And
Yeah.
thank you. You brought up a good point about self-care. It's so easy to skip that self-care because we are so busy. We keep ourselves busy and we think that, by caring for others, we're taking care of ourselves, but we aren't. We really need to pause, even if that means that it's 10 minutes, whatever we can do to give ourselves that nurturing and that care. Some days, we can't create a lot of space, but we can always take 10 minutes to just breathe and center ourselves. So thank you for bringing that up. Who else would like to talk about this one, about how keeping busy has kept you from processing your emotions? Sally Ann.
Yeah, I agree with that totally. Yes, keeping busy. And also for me, I think it was being strong for everybody else. Like I took on the responsibility, and that's another belief too. Took on the responsibility. Oh, I have to be strong for everybody else. I can't fall apart. I've got to hold it all together. And so in doing that, pushing down all my stuff so I could be strong for everybody else. But in doing that, I was denying my own feelings. And so healing wasn't able to occur. And so, as you say, it's so important to take that time just for us, even if it is that 10 minutes, that 10 minutes. And a really good practice I found helpful is just bringing your awareness to the heart and going into the heart and just breathing beautiful heart-based qualities into the heart, like love, compassion, gratitude into the heart, and breathing that in and then filling the body with that really helps regulate our hormones and bring us into a state of calmness. And if we can do that for ourselves just for, say, 10 minutes a day, that will really, really assist. But yeah, it is so easy to just, when we're in the thick of it, and I know I've been guilty of it, definitely. When we're in the thick of it, just to try and hold all the balls in the air, be focused on all the tasks. And I can't deal with that now, so I'll just put that over there. That's all too hard now. Haven't got time to fall apart and just keep on going and going and going. But you can only do that for so long, and it will
That
catch up.
is so true.
Yeah.
Thank you. And you brought up one that I was going to talk about, the being strong, because so many of us learn that in childhood. We might have someone say something to us like, well, pull up your big girl panties, or, for boys, big boys don't cry, those kind of things. And we hear those messages as young children, and we're like sponges. We incorporate those and feel many times like, well, I have to be strong either for my family or for my friends, whatever, and that we can't be emotionally honest. So I love that you brought that up. Do you remember when you started believing that you had to be strong?
I remember one episode in vividly, actually. I was about 12 years old. We had a major event occur in our family, and I was really devastated and I was terribly upset. And my mother's best friend pulled me to one side and said to me, "You can't be upset. You have to be strong for your mother." And that, and I was 12 and I still remember it. And that created an incredible shutdown of my emotions at that point. Yeah, yeah. And that was just, it was an innocent comment. She was trying to support her friend, but it was a devastating comment for me at 12 years old.
Correct. And we don't realize, the things that sometimes we can say to young children
Mm,
that obviously affect them for the rest of their life because you've never forgotten that
yeah,
comment,
yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Maria?
Yes, for me, I want to acknowledge Joanne because you just broke the stigma how people say you cannot never give up. And I love that you said, and I gave up. And just to eradicate the shame. So I did give up as well. But the point is that we don't quit. And even if we do quit, even then we can keep on going. So for you, you heard your spirit guide talking to you, and as a suicide survivor, I had for years lived with that shame and guilt and thinking that I don't have rights to be on this earth because what about all the other people who lost their loved ones and so on and on and on, and bringing up the word you can't give up or you can't quit was enough for me to spiral down into that guilt state. And when Sally Ann, you mentioned when it had happened to you, I went from one extreme to the other. So being shut down on my grandmother's funeral because it was just a culture. Nobody cried. Everybody was stoic and strong. And as a little girl, 5, I learned that you can't show your emotions. And then here I am in my 60s. I mean, I just turned 60. And then just recently was crying on a drop of the hat. So for me, learning how to regulate my emotions from one extreme to the other, and from giving up and quitting to never quitting and never giving up and keep on going and soldiering on was a big thing. And in all of that, I lost myself.
Mhm.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciate the vulnerability that you shared with us. It's really hard when we've learned one thing in childhood to break free from that. And I love that you now allow yourself to cry because tears are normal and they're healing. They help us or release some of that emotional pain, but many of us learn that they aren't normal and that, crying is a weakness, that we learn that in childhood or in our culture, right? And so to be able to allow ourselves to have that emotional release is so important in our healing journey. So thank you for sharing that. Claudia, how does all this resonate with you?
So like Joanna, I also taught for over 20 years. And if you know, teaching, it's a very challenging, sort of very giving profession.
Mhm.
And you give, and you don't pay any attention to yourself. And it's
Mhm.
true of self-care. You just keep going on the hamster wheel, and it's preparing tests and exams and marking and parent interviews and this and that, and the list goes on. And people say, like, no teaching. Well, here in South Africa, the belief is teaching is a half-day job. But actually, it isn't, because after school, you got sports afterwards. And after that, you get home 5 o'clock or whatever the time is, 5 p.m. And then there's still other work waiting for you. and holidays too. It just doesn't stop. So I had to actually stop and get off the hamster wheel. And yes, busy is a distraction, but I think it's also a coping mechanism. And we don't realize I just need to survive. So I'm doing what I'm doing to survive. But as soon as you put the brakes on that, you don't know what to do with yourself. And well, I'm speaking for me. When I left teaching, I slept. I was so exhausted. I slept for months. I had no ambition. I had like nothing to look forward to because I was just drained. And I had to kind of find myself again. What do I want? Who am I? Because I'm not just the teacher. I need to like kind of reinvent myself and put the attention. I mean, there's so many teachers out there, and in our country, we are having a crisis because so many are leaving the teaching profession because it's a tough job. It really is. You're not really being well looked after as well in, the departments, the education departments. It's a lot of pressure. So what I'll also do is bring workshops and coaching to schools and also identifying and helping teachers like, how are you doing? Because we don't check in. How am I doing emotionally? How am I doing mentally? How am I doing physically? And I know with my colleagues, we were like, a lot of us would get headaches. We would be sick. There was always something going on, but you just go, go, go. And I was fortunate I could leave the profession. And after I decided what I was going to do is give back and go into the wellness space. And then I realized that it was kind of a trauma. It was kind of a trauma event, just over the years, the accumulation, and just acknowledging because you can't change what you don't acknowledge. So I needed to acknowledge, okay, this is what happened. And like Joanna said, be thankful because I can move on. It happened. I've been through that. I'm helping teachers. That's one of my things that I want to give back to. But I'm also now taking care of me.
I'm glad for you because, it's amazing. As you're talking about being a teacher, a couple things came up for me. And one of them was our professions teach us that we need to keep busy all the time. And they oftentimes teach us that self-care is selfish. There's no time for that because you need to focus 100% on your profession. And it also leaves little time for our family, right? I was recently called to a school in my area because they'd lost a student over the summer. So I came in to support the students and the teachers. And there was such a deep sadness I felt inside because the teachers were trying to be strong for the students because that's what they've been taught. You need to be strong so that students can be okay. In reality, we teach people to be real. Be honest with your emotions because all your students are learning from you. So if you don't allow yourself to be emotionally honest, they're going to stuff all their emotions inside. And sure enough, when we started talking to the little kids, about being emotionally honest, they all started crying and talking about not only losing their classmate, but losing their pets and their grandparents. And it gave them that opening, which we all need, but it's so stifled for most of us. Most of us don't grow up in families, that teach us to be emotionally honest with our feelings because we're just trying to get through, right? So I appreciate you for bringing that up. So something else I want to talk about is many of us learn early in life as well to replace losses. So some of you may have had an experience where you had a pet and your pet died, and your family said, oh, okay, well, we'll go get another dog, or we'll go get another fish or a cat right away so that you feel better. So we learn that we can replace one thing that we've lost or something that's broken our heart with something else. We do the same things with relationships many times. We learn that, okay, well, this romantic relationship didn't work out, so I'll just find another one. But the problem is we carry all the pain that's unhealed into that new relationship, whether it's with a friend, a partner, an animal. So I'm curious how this has shown up in all of your lives. Sally Ann?
Thanks so much, Dawn. I suppose talking about relationships, my one of the things I did in the past was relationship counseling for an organization. And so many times you would see situations where a person they'd had a relationship breakdown, and I'm not trying to generalize at all, but more often it was the female had a relationship breakdown, and then they didn't stop and do the work and heal from that relationship. They went into another relationship. There seemed to be, I don't know, almost that fear of being alone and uncomfortableness with being alone. So they went into the next relationship, and often they had children from each relationship to help to cement the relationship. So you may have had one situation where there were 3 or 4 relationships because the work hadn't been done with the loss in the first relationship. So then there'd be another relationship. And because the work hadn't been done, the grief hadn't been healed from the first one, that one was probably a bit doomed already. And so that would fall apart. And then we'd have another one. And so it was really hard to try and help people understand you are worthwhile. You don't need another to make you whole. You are already whole. You don't need another to make you whole. Let's work with you and help you heal and help you understand that you are a beautiful, whole, loving soul that has just been through some stuff. And we need to heal that first before we can then, as a whole person, offer ourselves into another relationship. And I think it is so, so important to be aware of that healing. And that can also apply to a pet. Like if you've lost a pet, yeah, some people, I have seen it happen where people will go out, oh my God, this is so hard, go out straight away and get another pet to sort of fill that hole. And they haven't allowed themselves time to honor their grieve the pet that they've just lost and work through that before going on to the next one. So, so, so important to just have that time to honor themselves, honor their feelings and work through that first and have that space to do that, I believe. Very important.
Yes, thank you. I so agree with that. I think many of us are uncomfortable sitting in our emotions because we're afraid what's going to happen. We've already gone through a traumatic experience, and now I don't want to sit in my emotions because something bad might happen again. When in reality, when we're sitting in our emotions, we can actually process them and navigate through them to get to the other side before we replace whatever we lost with something else. Because the truth of the matter is, we're looking for that happiness and that joy, but we're not going to find it unless we heal what's hurting. We can't find it just because we've replaced something. We might think that we have for a short period of time, but it's a short-term fix. It's not long-term.
Yeah.
So thank you for what you shared, Sally Ann.
Exactly.
How about Joanna? How has this showed up in your life?
Well, I personally, directly in my life, I can't, I'm not sure if I can pinpoint a time that I have experienced anything like that, a loss like that, where I've had to replace it with something else, but I have had clients that have done so. And I have friends in my circle where I see this happening, where they don't want to feel, so therefore they jump to the next option of introducing something new into their life. So they're suppressing their emotions. And when we suppress the emotions and we're not looking at them and feeling, really getting in touch with how we're really feeling, then and processing them, then they become stuck. And when they're stuck, what the mind avoids, the body holds. So therefore, eventually you become ill physically. So that's really something that people, I think, need to understand, that you can't hold on to these negative emotions. Whatever has happened, and the relationships that you've had were learning experiences, if you can look at it this way, and allow yourself, embrace the challenge, embrace the loss, and really allow yourself to feel the emotions behind everything, and then let them go when you're ready. And a good way to do that, I find, it's really there's many ways, but one way that I find helps my clients is when they journal. So I encourage them to journal the experience and really become in touch with it, visualize it, feel it, allow it, the relationship that you had with the animal, with the person, and are you really feeling right now? Be angry, be sad, be whatever emotions you have, and let them go. And once you let them go, then you can enjoy the present moment, because that's the only moment that really exists. The past is the past, it's finished. If we can change it, we will. But if you can't, you must move on. That's what's real, the present moment. And from the present moment, you create your future moments, and your reality plays out that way from what you do in the present moment. So it's really crucial to feel, yes, what has happened, and to process, and then to move on. And yeah, there are a lot of different ways to do this, and journaling is one way. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, I find that very often. It's really easy to live in the past, right? We're stuck in what happened that was different and not what we'd hoped for. And we get stuck in well, maybe if I spend a lot of time in the past in my mind, it's going to change it. But you're right, it doesn't. The only thing that we have control over is the present moment, which changes the future. So it's really important to remember to be in the present moment. And sometimes in the present moment, we need to look at stuff from the past, but that's to heal it instead of getting stuck in it. So thank you for bringing that up. How about Maria?
How long do you have? What came to my mind, like on a drop of the hat, is that my husband and I, we met in January, we got engaged in March, and we got married in May. And I came out from a long-term failed relationship, and I actually didn't have a choice. We have to get married. We had to either get married or call quits, and me going back to my old country, which was war torn at that time. And I think that was a pivoting moment for me in my life, realizing that what I lost, I haven't grieved properly. And the only way forward was total honesty. And this is where I believe into total, is it a word? Controversiality? Is that even a word? If it's not, then let's reinvent a new word into English.
Okay.
So, trauma bonding. That
Yes. Okay.
it has to fail. There is no other way. It's let's call it quits. So my husband and I were totally trauma bonded, but we are together now 34 years, and I think that is what helped us to heal each other. being totally honest, and he helped me in my worst moments, but he also learned so many things about me and what never to repeat and what never to say. And I just believe that with that, I was able to let go. And my philosophy about that comes from we were wounded by humans, so we can get healed by humans. And everywhere where we were rejected, the other person, when they embrace us, we learn that not the whole world is the same and that we are not defined by our past and we can move forward because somebody else can prove their past hurt and how should I say it? Just prove the past hurt wrong.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think it is a huge thing to be able to let go and not replace it too soon, as you said. But sometimes when we don't have a choice, then it's okay to replace it, but to be totally honest about it.
Yeah, that's a good point that you bring up. And congratulations for being together for 34 years.
Thank you.
You know, we, I think sometimes we come together in those trauma bonds and we can navigate it if we're both willing to do the work and heal. Because I am in a relationship like that where we're both willing to show up and be totally honest. But it's when we choose to enter a relationship and we don't even realize all these unhealed parts of us that we haven't dealt with. We don't even, it's not part of our consciousness, right? Um, and then we enter these thinking that everything is fine. And then we start, being triggered and coming up against these roadblocks and obstacles, and neither person realizes what needs to happen. And so they're not totally honest because they don't really understand their own feelings. So I do think that we can navigate this together. And I know that each one of us, we're in each other's lives for a reason. We're either messengers or we're helpers. And we never know whether it's going to be, for a season or a lifetime. And you obviously have one of those lifetime relationships where you're been able to grow and heal together. So congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. It's very, very important to know to, as you said, just don't rush from one thing to another, replacing all this, because that's what we tend to do. And I was so in a full awareness that I'm replacing one relationship with another. And I said, hey, it's just not gonna work.
Mhm.
He said, but it has to work because unless we make it work, you have to go back. And I said, it's gonna be a hard work because I am not over it. We can be friends. I'm not over my relationship. So
Mm.
when he watches this back, he's gonna be, what the, what are you talking about? Well, cat is out of the bag. No, I really appreciate this is such a deep conversation, and I really appreciate bringing that up because it's so important.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Claudia, how does this resonate with you in your life?
Well, I was going to say in my trauma sensitive yoga work, it depends on how far the program is and just feeling into the space. Sometimes it's not a loss of a physical thing. Sometimes other people, people have other losses. And maybe it's something that didn't work out and it's not somebody who's passed away. Maybe it is a relationship. Maybe it is a relationship with a parent.
Mhm.
There's that kind of loss that you kind of grieve. Um, a dream that you had. You wanted something to work out in your career and it didn't work out. That can also be a loss.
Mhm.
So we look for something to fill the void. And it's through no fault through it's not our fault. It's just something, our coping, the way we cope. And the trauma yoga, it helps the participant not really delve into, but just to recognize And it's not about unpacking, because trauma sensitive yoga is nonverbal. It's all about choice and empowerment and safety in the body. But there is loss felt in the heart space, in the lung space. So there's a lot of breath work we do to kind of just go into that space and feel that space, but not necessarily talk about it. But as the program progresses, recognizing that loss. And for everyone, it's different.
Yeah. That's amazing. I have never experienced the trauma yoga before. I just love the concept and, the safety it provides, because it brings something to mind, is that so many people grieve alone because they've never felt safe with someone. I'm sure every one of you can think about experience in your life where you were really emotionally struggling and you went to someone that you thought that you trusted and shared what was on your heart. And their comment was well-meaning, but it was hurtful, and it caused that pain to even go deeper, and then us to shut down. And then we don't want to talk to anybody because we don't feel safe, because we don't feel like we have someone to hold that space for us while we navigate our emotions. And so let's talk a little bit about that. Like, in your own life, have you found yourself grieving alone? And have you also, what kind of comments have you encountered in your life that led you to shut down and wanting to be by yourself and isolating versus, finding people who could be supportive to you? Sally Ann.
Thanks so much, Dawn. Yes, I can really relate to that. I lost my second child sort of preterm, but yeah, but sort of people were sort of, a lot of people were, well, I think firstly they didn't know how to react. They felt uncomfortable. They didn't know what to say, how to respond. And it's very, very, very interesting. One point I would like to raise is it's so important to understand how males and females can respond differently to grief. Like my former husband, like he got into cooking, and so he was cooking me these most amazing meals because he didn't know what else to do to try and make me feel better. I wasn't interested in eating, but anyway, so the doing. He was in the doing. I was in the shut down, cocoonizing, just yeah, totally shut down. But I found that people didn't know how to respond. Oh, well, like things like, you can have another one, it's okay. Or you'll be better soon. And I thought, I'll never be better. You don't, you learn that sort of grief, you learn to compartmentalize it. And, I'll never be, something that doesn't go away. But, oh, you'll be better soon. You can have another one. Oh, it was right on Christmas. Actually, it was a couple of days after Christmas. And so, oh, look, let's go out and just have, it's Christmas time. Let's just go out and, celebrate Christmas or New Year or whatever. And I think partly, whilst at times I got angry with people I felt were insensitive or misunderstanding, I think they simply didn't know how to cope. They didn't know how to respond. So I think education is a really big thing for people, to educate them into how to respond to grief situations. I mean, there's many grief situations. That is just one that people feel particularly very uncomfortable with. And also there was nothing tangible to grieve over. And that was another big thing. I mean, I'm talking 30 odd years ago, things are handled a bit differently now. But in those days, that wasn't the case. So yeah, it was a very disenfranchised grief. So yeah, and I think it's really important to acknowledge the disenfranchised griefs that people have, and help them find ways to deal with that. And just very quickly, I had a client when I was counselling that had a similar situation. That the couple had come in for relationship counselling, she then asked for individual time. In her individual time, she disclosed she'd lost a child, a baby, 34 years earlier, and she was still grieving, but hadn't been able to talk to her husband about how she felt because he'd just pushed it away, got on with life. So what we did was we got the husband in. Anyway, to cut a very long story short, we came up with a strategy or a framework to acknowledge the loss of this child, like putting ads in the paper for the anniversary of the birthday, going back, cleaning up the gravesite. Just very quickly, I don't want to take up too much time. But so I think it's important, just focusing, I suppose, disenfranchised grief, to look at ways that we can honor that grief, and that can be so healing. And so I think it's so important to acknowledge, all grief and just be able to sit on the step with the person that is grieving and hold the space for them. Thank you.
Sally Ann, thank you so much for your really vulnerable sharing. I am so sorry for the loss of your child. I can't imagine what you've been through. My heart goes out to you. So thank you for sharing. I hear it all the time, especially women. They lose children, preterm, miscarriages, stillbirths, and no one knows, and they keep it inside because what they encounter is people don't know what to say. And they do say things like, well, you can have another child, but that doesn't replace the child that you just lost. And as women, we hold these thoughts and hopes and dreams and expectations for our children. And when that doesn't happen because they don't even get a life or their life is shortened, it breaks our heart, and that doesn't just go away. So I think that's so important that you brought up this whole topic, because people don't know how to respond to us when we're grieving many times. I teach people, just hold space, just listen, encourage them to talk about their loss because it's so important. Like, I'm sure that you had things that you really wanted to talk about in relation to your child and what you'd hoped for their future. Most people already have a name for their child before they lose it. And they have ideas in their head of, maybe things they're going to be interested in or different traits they'll have. And so it's important to honor those and allow someone to talk about, whatever's coming up for them. So thank you so much for bringing up this topic. I really appreciate it, Sally Ann. Joanna, what comes up for you?
Yes, I experienced a loss, the loss of my mom. She had dementia for 10 years, and it was a very difficult time. I was grieving for that length of time, losing her little by little. I had lost my dad 3 years before that, so this was the last parent. And it was a very difficult time that I found the closest people to me were not there for me. Because, like Sally Ann said, I believe that they could not understand. They didn't know what to say. So they didn't say much. They'd kind of disappeared because they didn't know how to cope with the situation, with me dealing with what I was dealing with. Now, I was raising my kids were young at the time, so I had no time to even think of what they're thinking and also dealing with trying to cope with myself with my mother's illness getting worse and worse. And she was in St. Catharines, which was an hour and 15-minute drive that I would have to take every weekend after working 5 days, in teaching and raising a young family. It was a very difficult time for me, but I did it all alone. And that's why I had burnout. And yeah, people just, I think that's what it is. That people I think they're kind of also afraid of the unknown. So they don't want to also, I guess maybe they don't want to interfere with what's happening in your life, knowing that you're so busy, like in my case, that I was so busy. So they just decided to just take a back seat. And I don't know, that whole time period was a blur after because I was pretty much alone. It was a very difficult time for me. I think for individuals that are going through that, right now. I think it's really important to understand that you're not alone. I think for me, it's very comforting to know that we're a part of God, that we have our divine team that always assists us if we just have to ask, welcome them into our day. And you're never alone. Even though you think you're alone, you're not alone. And they will give you comforting signs. They will show you the way. They will lead you to the next step in life, and for the help that you need to get. So I think that's something that I live by, and I share that with others, and I encourage people to welcome them into your day every day. Your spirit guides love you and want to help, and they'll help you navigate through the difficult moments that you're experiencing. So through the grief, they'll show you the way. They'll present to you. You'll have a different way of looking at things as you welcome them into your day, because it becomes a habit, and you know that they're there. So you're kind of expecting, beautiful things to happen. And lo and behold, somebody might come to you and say something that will spur something in you and take you to the next step in your journey that will help you with whatever you're dealing with, the grief that you're dealing with. Maybe a group will, for you to be at, or you'll all of a sudden go to, you'll be shopping somewhere and you'll see a sign that says something. They'll give you signs, and these help you to move forward. So you're never alone, even though we think we're alone. And at that time, I didn't know that. So, but then again, I was so busy, I didn't even realize. So, yeah. But yeah, yeah. But thank you, Sally Ann. That was heartfelt, and I'm deeply sorry for your loss. It's just very difficult. But thank you for your wisdom. Yeah, that was wonderful. Thank you, and Don for
Thank you,
your
Joanna,
direct.
as well. I'm sorry for your loss. Losing parents is very difficult. And I think,
Mhm.
as humans, we want to fix things for others because we don't like to see those people we love hurting. But the problem is we can't fix anything for anyone. We have to just try and hold space and just allow them to talk and to not provide any advice unless they ask for it, but just to be what I call a listening heart, just there to hold that space and love. So thank you, Joanna. How about Claudia and Marija? Either one of you have anything to add to this? Okay, Claudia.
Yeah, I just want to say, Sally and Joanna, I'm sorry for your loss. I think it is difficult because some people, they don't know what to say, they don't know how to respond. But easier said than done, we can meet them where they're at because they don't know. But like Joanna said, we've got ourselves and then our belief, our spiritual beliefs, and then rely on people that you do know and keep those people close to you.
Yes.
Mhm.
Thank you for that. That's so important. I call them our tribe. Those people that we know we can go to any hour of the day or night, and they'll just be there to listen and to love us unconditionally. Those people are so important.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna add to it. When I was young, I had lost so many friends because when I lost my parent, they just didn't know what to say. And I interpreted it other way. I got hurt and I took it personally that they didn't care about me. And now with this wisdom, with this brain, I can say they didn't know better. And as Celine said, they didn't know better. And I'm so sorry, Celine, for your loss. And Joanne, for loss of your parents. And that is so true. We sometimes care so deeply that we don't know what to say. But as you said, Don, sometimes we just need a listening heart. But also we have to remember to, I don't know, I might be wrong, and it might be unsolicited advice, but it would be like for me, if I could do all over again. I would love people to at least ask me, do I need anything?
Mhm.
Because yeah, I took it as they didn't care, as they didn't,
Mhm.
I didn't, I didn't thought that they are lost for words, or I didn't thought that they cared so deeply that they just wanted to be with me. I wanted them to break that silence. I wanted them to talk. I wanted them to tell me what to do,
Mhm.
or at least to tell me something, because we are all different and we all perceive things differently from inside. And I just cling to what Dr. Gabor Mate said, that the trauma is most likely the things which we experience inside, but we are left alone with our pain. And there is nobody to hear us, to tell us something, to hold us. And then we just keep on going with our lives and we never talk about it again. And I truly believe at this stage in my life that I don't glorify the loss, I don't glorify those deaths and the darkness. I minimize them with this wisdom, and I glorify God for everything what He brought me through and for the wisdom He had given me today to live and to be able to relate to people like Sally Ann and Joanne and Udon and Claudia. So I think that's our wisdom as a women, to be able to look back and see all these things we went through.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing.
Mm.
So before we close, I want to talk a little bit about, like, if everyone can just give one tip on something that you feel has been really helpful in your life and would be helpful for other people about dealing with emotional pain so that we can find that joy again. Because the truth is that many times we hear it just takes time. But I've talked to people that tell me it's been 20 years since I experienced some event or loss, and I'm still really grieving it. And so it's more what we do in that time. It's not that time passes, because it's like when we get a flat tire, we can't just sit there on the side of the road and hope that our tire is going to reinflate. It never will. Same thing with grief. Like, it's what we do in time that helps us heal, not just the time alone. So, what is one quick tip you would offer somebody who is experiencing grief and their heart hurts, they're in emotional pain, but they want to get to the other side? So, we'll start with you, Sally Ann.
Thank you so much, Dawn. I think what I've done myself at times, and I've also advised many clients to do and friends, is simply make a list of the things that bring you joy. Like, have an ongoing list, written out list, and you can add things to it. And then you can pick from that list. They might be simple little things like going out, lying on the lawn, hugging a tree, going for a walk, just things that bring you joy, things that you can go out and do that nourish the soul. That would be my one of my big tips, is to just have that list, keep adding to that list, subtracting things that aren't working, whatever. Just have that list of things that bring you joy, that you can pull something from just when you want to just have that time just to go out and nurture yourself. Thank you, Dawn.
Thank you, Sally Ann. How about you, Claudia?
I think you said it earlier, finding your tribe, because we do heal in community and
Yeah.
with support. We can't do it on our own. So
Mhm.
finding your people and the people that you resonate with and feel comfortable with and trust.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you so much for that. Joanna.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. I thank you, Sally Ann and Claudia. Thank you for that. Both of these suggestions are wonderful. I think they really are beneficial. And to add to that, I would say what's coming to me is gratitude. That gratitude is a very, very high vibration. And the more grateful we are, the more we bring into our lives. And it's really important, I think, to express gratitude. And we often forget to do that. Just gratitude for what we have now, what we have in our lives now. We have so many blessings, and we don't see them if we don't really think about it. So expressing gratitude and writing it down. I would say start a gratitude journal and write in your journal. I did that, and that was healing for me. That's the very first strategy that I took to heal myself way back 20 years ago, 25. And write in your journal what you're grateful for today, what you experienced today that brought you happiness, joy, like Sally Ann said. What is it? It could be just you saw a cardinal and that brought you joy, and you're expressing gratitude for the cardinal that you saw. And as you continue to do this, you'll see that your list will grow. And then at the end of the week, you can read through your gratitude list and you'll see how many things you have in your life. You really notice them, and then that will open your heart. So I think gratitude is a good way of moving forward. Yes.
Thank you, Joanna. I love gratitude practices. I do it every night when I put my head down on the pillow. I think about what I'm grateful for, because even if in the worst of days, I can always find something. I have a roof over my head, right? I have a job. So just focusing on something we're grateful for is very helpful at times. So thank you. How about Maria?
Thank you so much. It was amazing session. I enjoyed every minute of it. And my advice, how to find joy, is same as Joanna's. Really, just to be grateful for everything, and to say, well, today I have breath in my lungs. It's a brand new day. It's the day of salvation. And just to praise Lord for what He has done, and to worship Him for what He is. And having this wisdom, and if I look back at the past, and just knowing that I came through the things, that I am overcomer for a reason, to lift up other women around me, and to be able to tell them, you are the overcomer, and you can rise above everything. And just bringing that joy, because joy and gratitude are choices. Mm.
Thank you so much for that. And I want to thank each one of you for just sharing your insight and your wisdom today. When we are stuck in emotional pain from things that have happened in our past or things that are happening currently, it keeps us from that joy that we so want in our life. So it is important to be emotionally honest, to find your tribe, to find those little joyful moments, those things that we're grateful for. So everything that all of you talked about today is so important. And as we move forward in life, I hope this conversation has helped all of us just think about how we can also show up for other people in life when they're experiencing grief. And especially this time of year when the holidays are upon us, it's really hard for a lot of people that have experienced loss, whether it's children or parents or partners, whoever it is, but just to be that listening heart and hold space for those we love. So thank all of you for being here today. And I want to bring Sophia back in. And also I wanted to mention something. So Unburdening Your Heart, I have a guide on my website that if anybody wants to check it out, they can. But for now, we're going to turn it over to Sophia.
Thank you, Dawn, and all these amazing women. What a wonderful conversation. I've been really honored and fortunate to be able to sit in the background and listen to everyone, and for everyone to sharing their tips. Totally, totally appreciated. And I also, gratitude helps us so much, and journaling. Journaling is an amazing way to release all your emotions. So just want to honor you, Dawn and Claudia and Joanna. Thank you for joining us for your very first time, and our beautiful Sally Ann and Marija, who have woken up very early in the day today for joining our Wisdom Circle. And for everyone who is watching, click on the links below, check out all these wonderful speakers. And while you're there, do check out sacredyou.love. We have so much on offer. We have more wisdom circles, a couple of more panel discussions for this year, archetype circles, and our special interest tribes. So do come and join us, but check us out, sacredyou.love. And thank you again for everyone. And wherever you are, have a beautiful day or evening. And we will see you again next time very, very soon. So thank you.